Hello, and welcome to the Enchanted Circle Podcast, and welcome to our 33rd episode. We are a new podcast of three best friends that have known each other since high school that love fantasy books. So here we are doing what we love most, which is obviously reading, theorizing, and having a great time together. From meeting in high school to reading Harry Potter, Twilight, and the Mortal Instruments series, to reading Fourth Wing and ACOTAR, we are now deep diving into Quicksilver by Callie, Hart. Yay! And hi, I'm Carolina. Welcome to episode 33. We are covering Kingfisher's POV chapters and chapters 12 through 16 today. We are so excited for you to join us on this fabulous journey and to talk about Kingfisher and Quicksilver, obviously. And for those of you that are new, we did a breakdown of Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros in our previous episodes, and we are now talking about Quicksilver. Welcome, and we hope you enjoy.
Hey everyone, it's Bella. I'm so excited to get into these chapters. This world just keeps unraveling so much more, and it's increasing like my anticipation for the second book that's coming out this year. So many little details that is easy to miss when you're just inhaling a story, but that's how good it is. You get so swept away in the story that it's just easy to overlook it. Glad that you guys are here, and thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoy.
I agree with you, Bells. I agree with you. Happy Tuesday. I am so happy to be here with you guys for another week and another breakdown on our Shadow Daddy Kingfisher. Guys, I just can't get over every time I see it, the AI art on him. Extra one more.
Keeps getting better. Just keeps
It's
getting better.
just so good. The green eyes, the black hair. He is fine. Fine. I can't believe it's June, y'all. I am so ready for the warmer weather and the sunshine. Why has it been raining every day in New York? Am I in Forks, Washington? All right. I'm feeling very Bella right now. Like
Very
not Bella.
hoa.
Yeah, very hoa. I can't wait. I am a sunshine girl. I need that sunshine to feel positive vibrations all over. Hopefully June brings that. And let's get into this episode today.
We just have to mention content warnings. There will be spoilers for the entire book of Quicksilver by Callie Hart, including all of Kingfisher's POV chapters. If you have not read this book and his new POVs, please come back once you do. We wouldn't want to spoil anything for you. We may mention interviews or posts from Callie Hart, so spoilers with that. And this podcast is rated R due to the topics we discuss about this adult book. Also, we tend to curse a lot, so please be aware of children listening. Let's get into it. And just to let everyone know, we typically begin with a chapter summary and then we deep dive into Quicksilver, the main discussion in order of the chapters. So, chapter summary, back to Kingfisher's POV, which this section is called The Fox, the Boots, the Dress. This takes place in college right before their dinner together. Ren told Kingfisher to make nice with Saeris. Onyx is following Kingfisher around. Kingfisher remembers his mother and how empty college feels without her. Archer is going to set up dinner for Kingfisher and Saeris. Onyx still following Fisher and seems to like him and Archer. Aw. Wait, Kingfisher made an oath with Bellicon? By the way, Archer is so cute. Kingfisher went to his mother's room, then went to retrieve his dad's boots. But this part was heartbreaking as he was about to leave. His mother left something for her. Kingfisher is in denial. He saw some garments that are for her. More on that later. Storming out of the room and scaring poor Onyx because he locked him in there. Poor Onyx. But this strange, unwelcome tug had our boy have a change of heart. He went back, took the gown, and make sure Onyx didn't get trapped as he left. Aw. Then, ladies, he gets to Saeris' room and she's not there, but Carry-On is. Fight. Just kidding. I love them both. The banter was bantering between those two. You have to go back and read it. And then Kingfisher makes a deal with Carry-On, the boots, for a bath. Fair trade. Sure. In comes the water sprite and off to the bath Carry-On goes. Very willingly, I might add. Then in comes Saeris and Kingfisher hides in the shadows. Our girl wants a bath and Kingfisher is spiraling, hiding from her. He conjures her a bath, still spiraling and demanding to give her privacy. He leaves the dress on the bed and leaves, but wait, he tells us his mother told him that Saeris is his mate. Yes, and we need more of Mama Fisher. The dress was not his mother's. It was a dress made made for Saeris alone.
Oh.
Chapter 12, back to Saeris' POV. This chapter is called Fox. All right, Saeris enters the forge, and of course, our Kingfisher is in there smirking while she entered. He's happy she's there. The banter was just bantering. He points out that she's lying because she obviously refused to tell him she was checking him out, but we learned that the Fae can't lie. Things are getting hot and heavy in this forge. The banter was bantering and the steam was steaming. He's hungover. We can relate at times, Fisher. He went out with Ren to the pub and gambled. Saeris is invited next time, he says. Kingfisher wants Saeris to wake the Quicksilver up to make relics. In comes Onyx, though. Finally, and saved by Saeris before Kingfisher was going to deal with him. But he bit Saeris, and then this is the beginning of their beautiful relationship. Kingfisher still threatened to turn him into a hat, and that's when Saeris and Onyx found common denominator to hate Kingfisher, and so they bonded over that. They try again and again to wake the Quicksilver. Saeris feeling defeated, she asks him to touch his pendant to see what she needs to look out for. Our boy says, come over here and touch it then. Wow, hot and steamy.
Hey.
So we learn Kingfisher loses control of himself without the pendant, even for a few minutes. Saeris is going to try to take that ring from him, but before she does, our girl gets closer. And guys, this part has me blushing. More on this later. I love that part.
Me too.
It's so good. Our girl tries to punch him again, but he learned from his mistake and caught her fist. She notes that he's not the one holding her, so she could really step back if she wanted to. Instead, they kiss. And now who's the one losing control? Kingfisher. Was frantic. Okay. Saeris, get it, girl. She's still in denial of that ever happening again, but our boy knows that it will.
For sure.
Chapter 12 was hot with a capital H. But Saeris is now on the run. She has a plan and is finally executing it. The only addition to that plan, Onyx the Fox. I think they're the real mates. As she is making a run for it, heading down, 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 and down many levels and many steps, she finally makes it to the depths. And of course, the pool is guarded. But then she hears a voice. The Quicksilver directs her another way, but now she is having doubts. She thinks on how she can just go back up to her room, pretend this didn't happen, and let it be. But she knows Fisher is out of time and she refuses to be trained by another person who isn't him. Ding, ding, motherfucking ding. She makes it into the room with the pool, and Saeris notes the stark difference between the huge pool and the one in Madra's castle that looked like a mere puddle. The Quicksilver is still calling to her. Right before, though, she lets Onyx go because she realizes she can't provide him with any kind of real life in Zilvarin. The Quicksilver continues pulling at her and she finally awakens it. Honestly, though, the Quicksilver puts her in some sort of trance just as she begins to dip her toe in. Glittering black sand slams into her. Kingfisher is hissed. But Saeris is too. She wants to go home. Kingfisher pins her with his god sword, and when she goes to push it away, it burns her hand. Remember that earlier kiss with Fisher? It was all a play to get the ring off of him because she assumed it would protect her from the Quicksilver. But she assumed wrong because it does not do what Fisher's relic does. The ring is powerless. She tells him she will never, not ever give up on making sure her brother is alive no matter what it costs her. It is enough to make Fisher strike a bargain with her. He will go get Hayden and she will stay and do whatever he wants while helping him make more relics for his people. And a blood oath is striked. Fisher goes into the pool, instructing Saeris to seal it in the meantime, and she waits. Onyx returns and she waits some more. She opens the gate and Kingfisher comes back through. As she looks to her brother, she realizes it is not her brother. He brought no one other than Carrion Swift, her one night stand.
In
Her worst nightmare.
But our favorite character. We love him.
I am so glad he brought him because I just feel like, think about it. Hayden, what we learned from him was like he was kind of freaking annoying in the beginning of the book. Carrion, though, he was given.
Yeah.
He was given.
He literally is one of my favorite characters in this book. And just reading Kingfisher's POV and the banter between those two together is just
It's so
amazing.
good.
I'm
It's
so
so
happy
good.
she gave that to us.
Chapter 14, the fine print. A hysterical Saeris asks Fisher how he managed to fuck this up. But we find out that Fisher asked him while in a headlock, and Carrion said he was Hayden. So that is that. Fisher, the real MVP who landed in Madra's castle, quote, I had to find my way out of there. Cross that scorched, disease-ridden shithole you're so desperate to get back to. Find your brother, then get back into the cursed hall, then back into the Quicksilver in under an hour. End quote. Poor guy, I mean. He also got stabbed 7 times, and he did it all for her. Even though he did not bring back who she wanted, he still did it for her. Honestly, though, thank you, Callie Hart. This was fucking hilarious. I was internally dying. Fisher tells Saeris that they are leaving the Winter Palace, and he uses the blood oath to make her do what he wants. Finally, he explains where she fucked up in agreeing to the blood oath. The little fucking details, semantics really. Quote, I go and I try to get your brother. You help me and assist me in any way I ask you to, and you do as you're told. End quote. LOL. She screams at him, quote, you fucking tricked me. End quote. And he's just nonchalant, like, nah, I just taught you a lesson. In the end, she does as she's told and mounts a horse she is deathly afraid of, contemplating the insanity of it all. Zilvarin, all heat, no water. And Yvelia, snow, water, all taken for granted. And so Fisher picks up his soon to be baby girl, and the two of them, plus a passed out Carrion, start on their journey.
I love it. I love that Carrion is included in all of this now.
It's just so funny that he like brings back Carrion. And then she's like, you didn't complete the freaking oath. And he's like, well, he told me he was your brother.
He's like,
He
well,
gives word
and
for
now,
it.
and now you're gonna do what I tell you to do.
exactly. I literally squealed the first time reading this. I was like, no, he did not.
You know, like when you can't trust men to go to the grocery store to get like what you need. It's like you can't trust him to get your
Yes.
brother back.
Yes, you can't see
From
Kingfisher
another realm.
cannot go to the grocery store.
Females are the same.
Wait,
Chapter 15. This chapter is called Sarush. With Carrion being a carry-on.
That was so good.
Yo, I had to. I was
That
like,
was
I
so
had
good. That was so good.
really
10 out of 10 pun right there.
Yo, he really was like just getting carried off. Like, how was he getting carried off? Like by a horse, right? Like tied.
yeah, he was literally just like
being carried
thrown
on.
over like the butt of the
Over.
horse.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking hilarious.
So they traveled on the outskirts of the town in front of Winter Palace to avoid being caught by Belicon soldiers. As they are riding their horses through the creepy forest, Saeris hears haunting wails in the distance that also made poor little Onyx uncomfortable enough to start whining. The sounds at times got so close that they made Saeris jump, and Fisher explains that what she was hearing are called shades, which are basically echoes of the dead reliving their last moments. They are formless, but the last scenes of their death can be seen more so by the Fae than by humans. He further explains that the forest is called the Wicker Woods, a prison only meant for those guilty of the most heinous crimes. They finally reach their destination, which is a stone pub, and looks to Saeris like it was just an ordinary place, but it seemed like something a bit more to Fisher as he marveled at it, probably feeling nostalgic. The tavern was packed with fae and different-looking creatures, stunning Saeris, and Fisher hides himself under his cloak as they walk towards the bar to get a couple of drinks. He then gets a hold of her wrist and disinfects her injuries as she teases him about caring for her, but he explains that he does care about her well-being, but not in the way that she's insinuating. Motherfucker. He cares about his people and ending this war, and she is the key to help with that. He says this without emotion, and even though Saeris is used to matter of facts, it kind of hurts her feelings a bit. She asks him where he is taking her, and he says to his home in Calais. Well, he actually says home. And it was like kind of cute because, you know, making it seem like it's her home too. But he just meant his home in Calais, which resides on the edge of Yvelian territory and is also a war zone, making Saeris nervous. After a few drinks, Ren shows up and hugs Fisher before telling him that he is fucked for what he did. They proceed to argue, leading Ren to say that Fisher's sword, Nimerel, is corrupted, which angers Fisher to the point he draws the whole tavern's attention. Everyone begins to realize who they are and start whispering in shock. As they try to leave, a Fey male blocks his path and kneels to ask for his blessing because of the many other beings in the tavern speak up about his heroic stories and the many lives that he has saved until he leaves. Chapter 16. This is called the Shadow Gate. They reach a small vortex of smoke and shadow, making poor Onyx shiver in the bag. I feel so bad for him. He's like just put in these like scary situations and has no fucking clue what's going on. And Saeris protests even after the other option was presented, which was a 2-month travel to Kalish on horseback. But Fisher made it clear that she was going in whether she wanted to or not. Someone came out of the tavern, making Fisher more nervous and persistent, and revealed that she has no choice because of the oath she made to him. Ren was shocked at what Fisher did and tried to comfort Saeris before going through the gate first. Saeris thought she won this battle of wills until she found herself going against her will. She tells him, quote, "I will never forgive you for this," end quote, before disappearing into the abyss. They all make it through, and poor Saeris is puking her guts up at Kalish. Renfis helps her up and reassures her that this only happens when someone passes through it the first time. But since she is human, the effects are probably worse. He leads her to a room where she is passed out, only to be awakened by no other than Carrion, who is trying to wake her up. She immediately confronts him about Hayden and asking him if her brother was alive, and he reassures her that he is and is doing better than expected. He was able to get him papers to get into the 7th ward, where he now has a job as a store clerk, a small room of his own, and triple the water rations. Elroy is also safe and is constantly demanding to see Saeris, who he still thinks is being kept prisoner in Madras Palace. She also sees that she's been healed and starts assessing her surroundings while answering Carrion's questions about what has transpired until Kingfisher shows up to take her to the forge.
On to the main discussion. Back to Kingfisher's POV, the fox, the boots, the dress. So first thing he says to himself is, quote, "The female was a plague. She's going to be the death of me," end quote. This sounds ominous and I don't like it. Remember that the Oracle told King Bellicon that Kingfisher does not die by his hand. I'm
Wait,
petrified.
I have a mad woman theory right now.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
What if what they mean by dies is like, now that Saeris is a vampire, he also becomes half fae, half vampire. And that's his death.
I like that.
I can see that.
Right?
I like
I can
that.
totally see
Like
that.
that's the way that she's gonna save him if he like dies.
Because I feel like they both have to be the same, right? Like she can't
Absolutely.
be half vampire. They're
Yeah.
mates.
You know
That's a
what?
good
This
one.
whole
Now
this
I'm
whole
in there.
thing about like vampires in this story is a little like not confusing, but it's just different than vampires in like other stories because technically the vampires are fae, just a different form of fae,
Yeah,
right? For the fae that wasn't
They were cursed fae.
yes.
They did not want to become. They didn't want to stop the blood drinking. Basically.
Right. They didn't take the antidote. Like
Yeah,
No,
the
they
cure.
didn't.
They didn't want to cure themselves.
They didn't want to.
Yeah.
So they are fae, but they're vampires.
they're vampires. Yeah. I just find it so I just find it interesting like this version.
No,
I
it
like
is
I like it.
interesting.
I like it.
But
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, I do not think Kingfisher is gonna die, but I think it's like more metaphorical. Like like Saeris, right? Saeris has been on the brink of death. She almost died in the
Yeah.
fucking in Madras castle. Basically, was like dead. And then when she dies later on at the end of this book, basically, like she is like a breath away from dying when they turn her into a vampire.
Oh, definitely.
So like I feel like that is metaphorical death. And I think that's the same thing that's gonna happen to Fisher.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. I can see that.
That's a good theory.
Mad woman theory.
I can see that.
I'm happy to be back with my mad woman theories. Like my theories are
I
very,
miss them.
me too. Me too. It's reminding me of like
There's gonna
Onyx Storm and how I'm never gonna get over Onyx Storm. Like,
Never. Never.
ever.
And there's gonna be way more to come for sure as
Oh,
we get deep in it.
definitely. And I love how we get a bit more insight about Archer and how important he is to Kingfisher. We learned that after his father never returned, okay, his dad is alive, just saying. His mother was ridden with grief that she locked herself up in her room for a week, and it was Archer that took care of Kingfisher when he was little. That part was so sad, but so cute. I love how we get a little more insight about Archer here.
You know
And
how
Kingfisher even notes how he will never be harsh to Archer, which that was really sweet. But anyway, side note, I love how it's shown here that Kingfisher is warming up to Onyx, okay? He calls him annoying and a pest, but when Archer offered to take Onyx back to Saeris, you see the change of heart as Kingfisher says, quote, no, it's fine. I don't suppose it's doing any harm, end quote. Okay, Kingfisher.
You,
Onyx is growing on you.
you know what this reminds me of? It's like every dad who's like, I don't want a
Yes.
cat in this house. I don't want a
I don't want a
dog.
dog.
And then they're just like, oh, like that's their baby. And
Yeah.
like,
It
that's
the pet ends up being with them 24/7 instead of anyone else.
exactly.
But as they continue their conversation, Archer keeps referring to Kingfisher as master. And Kingfisher's like, dude, just call me Fisher. And Archer says, quote, sorry, I'll do my best to try to be better at to try to call you by that name, end quote. Could this be another nod that Fisher is not his true name? If we're wrong about this, I'm gonna just cry in a corner, but it's okay. Guilt is consuming Kingfisher here about events at Gilthry. We learn here that he made an oath with Bellicon about events there, obviously. So when Kingfisher enters his mom's room, my heart broke for him here. You can't help but go back to that little boy that would play forts with his mom and have all these wonderful memories together. And now she's gone and it's so empty without her there. It just made me so sad for him, you know? Him also remembering his father and even touching his clothes. Oh, this whole entire scene just had me so sad. And I was just like, why can't somebody come back to him, please?
Like it's like he doesn't have any other
Anybody.
family.
He has
Yeah.
no one. He has Archer
Only
and
and
like Ren.
Everlane.
Well, yeah, Everlane too.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
sad.
sad. And as he's about to leave after he retrieved the boots from his father's closet, he noticed a quote. A row of garment sleeves were tucked away, right at the back of the wardrobe. The royal blue fabric of the sleeves touched the ground, which was the only reason I even noticed them at all. None of my mother's other dresses were stored this way. End quote. A voice urged me to step toward them, its tone soft, unlike the Quicksilver with its unhinged demands, a voice as familiar to me as my own, though I hadn't heard it in a lifetime. Hers, my love, these are hers. End quote. Could this be for Saeris?
I'm just like so sweet, so sweet,
Oh my
so
god.
sweet.
I literally imagined this whole scene in my head and it had me all in my feels in this POV.
Like
What
his
do you
mom,
think?
I know we talked about how maybe his mom was a witch. I mean, she's an
Mhm.
oracle. When we see oracles in fantasy, they're usually witches. So it's like interesting to see that she may have a connection or a way to
Yeah,
talk to him beyond the veil.
that
So
would be
it's so sweet to me.
Vampire Diaries. I wasn't expecting this in his POV, but I love it. I love how as he took the gown, he left, he made sure Onyx didn't get locked in the room again. But wait, he knows that Onyx was, quote, grinning extra wide at me, end quote. I love Onyx even more now. That is so freaking cute. He knows he got him. He's like, I got you, sucker. I got you wrapped around my little paw. Anyway, so I was eating this up. So as Kingfisher's coming back to Saeris' room, he sees Carry On there. And this part, I was eating this up. The encounter between these two, aside from Ren, I love Kingfisher and I love Carry On. Saris is obviously brought up, and Carry On tells him, quote, you know she isn't one for being told what she can and can't do, end quote. Oh shit, Carry On. Be ready to fight. Carry On also says basically he was supposed to get her brother, but he brought him. Him obviously being Carry On there instead. Kingfisher says, quote, yes, well, trust that no one regrets that more than me. And quote, I am deceased. I love him. His I love him. I love his remarks. I am even more dead when Carrion sees the boots Kingfisher has with him and says, quote, and yet here you are bearing gifts. I'm used to people falling fast when they meet me, but I think this might actually be a new record. End quote. Only Carrion Swift could do this. And Carrion, I fucking love you. I love you, you sassy king. You sassy, sassy king. I love you. And it's so interesting to see Kingfisher's POV from this standpoint of him asking Carrion to bathe the stench of Saeris off of him. And Callie, I just have to say, thank you for giving us this POV of this scene. This is magical. What a gift. Kingfisher thinks to himself, quote, he had the human, he had touched her and kissed her and presumably taken her, and he still felt the need to look at other females. There was something so deeply wrong with him. End quote. Oh my goodness.
He's a faithful man. We know that.
Our boy is smitten, and I'm here for it.
He is fallen so hard. He doesn't want to acknowledge it because it's already happened.
Exactly. He's in denial. He says multiple times in his POV that he can't even look at another female. Saeris, you have a good man. A good man, okay? He also says, quote, even if I hadn't learned how to guard myself against water magic, I would never have taken the female's hand so easily, not after knowing the human. End quote. Swoon. That's it. He's the best. I love him. Side note, we learn about the water sprite's abilities. Quote, all water sprites bore that gift, the ability to mesmerize the unwitting with their silvered voices. I had still been wet behind the ears the last time I had allowed myself to be swayed by their magic, though. I had long since developed the ability to withstand their influence. Carrion Swift had not had that opportunity. End quote. I just like to, we're slowly learning about each lesser fae and things like that throughout his POV too. Just thought it was interesting to note that. He also thought this in his POV, which I thought was very interesting. Quote, with her high cheekbones and her slender frame, it was no wonder that my mother had thought she would be fae when she'd seen her in her visions, but her ears, round, human, end quote. Wow.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. See, another thing to discuss here, the gods messed with the fates, okay? She was supposed to be fae, we know this, but they changed that long ago. And what other visions did his mother see? What was his mom? She has to be a witch. Like, she just has to at this point. Speaking of his mother, we learned that he gets his shadow magic from his mom and his illusion powers from his father, hence how he conjured up a whole bath for Saeris in this POV. As he was about to leave, he's leaving the dress on the bed for Saeris, and he notes once again that he knows that dress did not belong to his mom. He thinks to himself that this dress was specifically made for Saeris Fane, and can you imagine if his mother made this for her? Oh my god, I melt. That is so fucking sweet, and I can't. She obviously has seen her via her visions, so she knows exactly what kind of dress would complement Saeris. Just at the end of his POV, you see him giving himself a pep talk before dinner with Saeris, and I love seeing this side of Fisher where most of the time he's spiraling, okay? And 10 out of 10 times it's because of Saeris, and I am here for it.
I also want to know, I really do love and appreciate Callie Hart for Kingfisher is somebody that has been a prisoner of war for over 100 years, and he is struggling with being back with his loved ones and his, his family, essentially, because he has a family, whether it's not his mother and like his blood family, but it's his family. I appreciate to see how he came back, and he's not like, he's really going through this like post-traumatic stress and how he's dealing with it, and how in his head he is having a really hard time with it all. We see him when they're in that cavern when the Fae want to thank him, and he can't even fathom being thanked because he feels so guilty, even though he's guilty for nothing, right? He feels so guilty, and how he also struggles with that and still feels so guilty. And then later on, as we go on and he goes to the war camp and he's hiding, him dealing with his trauma. I really always love to see that in characters because it makes them more real and it makes them more relatable, because you can't be a prisoner of war for 100 years and come back
like totally normal. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I like that you highlighted that. That was good. Chapter 12, Fox. First of all, this is my favorite chapter and scene in this book. It is just so good. Callie, I love you. You did amazing here. Thank you for delivering. As Saeris and Kingfisher are bantering, he comes up to her super close and says, quote, "You are temporary," end quote. I feel like this is him saying this to himself more than it is him saying it to Saeris. He's like reminding himself that she's human. She's not here for long. Don't fall for her. Like he's like in legit denial here. But Saeris is like, that's rude. And I just couldn't help but notice that on this reread. I was like, oh, he's saying that. He's trying to talk himself out of this.
I mean, I don't blame him because imagine like being Fae and having this long lifespan and then your mate, like literally the person who is made for you, is not the same as you and is going to die. Think about he was a prisoner of war for 100 years in his long lifespan. She's not going to live as a human to 100
Yeah.
years, right?
Yeah.
That's like unfathomable, especially in Zalvarin.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So
as he's telling her about his plan to bind Quicksilver to Fae bones, Onyx shows up right for the first time. Our fave. But thank God Sarah saved Onyx before Kingfisher was going to kill him. And oh my God, our precious fur baby. We love you, Onyx. The part that did have me laughing out loud was when he tells her that Onyx will bite her. And she's like, nah, no, he won't. And the same second, he sure did bite the shit out of her. And that part just had me dying laughing.
She was so confident. She's like, oh no, we love each other already.
Yeah.
And he also mentions that for centuries, they have been trying to understand how the relics allowed them to travel through the Quicksilver, how the relics were made, but have not been able to test out their theories until now that the Quicksilver can be awakened. I found that to be very interesting. Like they've been trying to figure out like how these relics work, basically.
Yeah. And our girl sure does figure it out. And a lot of banter in this chapter, okay? So please refer to chapter 12 if you want great banter between them. But we learned a lot in this chapter too. We learned Kingfisher loses control of himself without the pendant for a few minutes. Can you imagine? He was without it for 10 days. Okay, 10 days. And Ren had him trapped in a room with 3-foot thick walls locked behind an iron door.
I also wonder why he let her have it for 10 days because once she traveled through the Quicksilver, she didn't need it anymore, right? Like the pendant is for travel through the Quicksilver to protect you.
Maybe he thought that it would have some lasting effects on her because she's human.
Oh.
Maybe. That was my thought process.
Because for 10, like, I don't know.
It's a long time.
It's a long time in the later chapters when he goes to get Carrion. As soon as he crosses over the Quicksilver, he needs the pendant back, you know?
Yeah.
So why did he wait 10 days?
And I think, I was thinking like maybe because he wanted to make sure that there was no Quicksilver inside of her because he knows how that's like. And he's like probably trying to take extra precautions because she's human, but also because I don't know. He senses something with her. I don't know.
I mean, he didn't do that with Carrion.
Yeah, but I'm saying like he doesn't care about Carrion.
True. I don't know. 10 days is a long time.
It is a long time. Yeah. I wonder too.
Well, maybe she was also dying too.
Oh, I mean,
maybe.
Like she's
I know
vulnerable.
he does say that the pendant is more than just like travel through the Quicksilver. So maybe it has some like, I know it has magic from the highest witch. So maybe there's something in that as well.
Yeah.
Something we'll learn. This pendant is definitely still very mysterious and
very important.
We definitely
the
don't. Yeah. And even down to like, I mention it later, down to the symbol on it and everything. Like we don't know a lot of it yet.
Right.
And I think their mating bond probably started right here or in this moment, or it snapped or awakened, or I don't know how else to describe it. But as she's moving closer towards him, they are super close at this point, right? Remember, he's sitting down, okay? And she's legit standing in between his legs to look at his pendant, speaking of looking at his pendant closely, and she notes, quote, "The heat of his skin scorched my fingertips, sending a bolt of electricity snapping through me," end quote. This has to be their mating bond. I feel like time and time again in books, like this is like a sign that something more meaningful is snapping into place. So I think this is when it finally like, oh, there it is. Click. I just wanted to note the pendant here, okay? She notes, quote, "I still couldn't make out the design. 2 crossed swords wrapped in thin vines," end quote. I wonder what this could mean. Like I said a little minute ago that We still don't know anything. This pendant is still very mysterious, and I'm sure this will be answered in upcoming books.
Yeah, and like the fact that she had to touch it to feel what other element is binded to it, like is interesting because it's showing her growing instinct to understand like her power and what it can do.
But this part right here, Kingfisher gives Saeris a little lesson about Fae anatomy. Okay, we learn 1, they have bigger hearts by ratio. 2, they're taller, obviously, and bigger. 3, superior eyesight and sense of smell. Emphasis on smell, by the way. 4, heightened hearing and taste. And 5, they can hear heartbeats. Okay. So he points out that her heart rate is sky high and chaotically beating because of their interaction. And I would just want to hide under a rock if I was Saeris at this point. I'd be like, oh my God, I can't handle this pressure. He continues to point out that her body is betraying her because her mind is saying no, but her body is saying yes. And she tells him, quote, "You're holding me against my will," end quote. And he's like, if you look closely, I'm not. He tells her, quote, "You can pull away at any time. Looks to me that you're the one choosing to stay. It also looks like you're having to stop yourself from touching me the way I'm touching you, don't you?" End quote. This man is just wow. Anyway, so she keeps denying it though. And he's like, "Bitch, just stop. I know you're lying." And Sarah's just like, "Quit denying, girlfriend. Like, that's it. Just give in. It's okay. It's okay. We won't be mad." And guys, just how amazing was this first kiss scene? Like, I cannot get over it.
Immaculate.
It's honestly one of the best.
Masterpiece.
I think it's like my favorite first kiss scene out of all the books because the tension, the banter was just perfect. It was perfection.
There's just so much tension in this moment, and 2 people who didn't want to admit to each other how much they want each other. It's like the best.
And it made it seem like the kiss is like not that big of a deal. It's like, yeah, like come and try it out. And then like as she's trying it out, like he's also liking it.
And I can't. It's so hot.
It's perfect.
So good. And I love how she tells him there won't be a next time for their kiss. And he, quote, grinned so hard that a small dimple appeared, end quote. Stop it right now.
Freaking dimples, man.
I love him. And I love how confident he is and that it will in fact happen again. The part that got me too was when he's like, "Come on, it wasn't that bad." And she's like, "Duh." And he says, quote, "Thrum, thrum, 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 thrum. So fast, like a hummingbird," end quote. I literally was like this. I was like,
Chapter 13 is called duress. I really wanted to define the definition of duress because it really explains what happens in this chapter. So the definition of duress is threats, violence, constraints, or other action brought to bear on someone to do something against their will or better judgment. So basically, it's the feeling someone has that makes them act in a way because they're so stressed, right? I found that I wanted to note this to all of you because Saeris has been under immense stress. I don't think we noted as much. She went from being a thief, on the run, hungry, thirsty, having no home, worrying about what's going to happen to her and her brother, Elroy, who she also cares for, and trying to take care of herself, being taken prisoner on the brink of literal death, being transported to a whole new fucking world, a new realm, then being demanded to do something she had no idea she really could do, while she worries and she thinks that the people she loves the most may be dead. So, like, we can't fault her, like the expectations of her. She did not agree to be saved from death and be brought to a new whole fucking world. She was gonna die. She was ready to die. Like, she saved Hayden. She knew from the moment she saved Hayden, like, she was gonna die, and she had basically made peace with that. So she's under so much stress in this couple of days that has been in Yevelion. Her choices in this chapter makes complete sense because she is under so much stress. I want to know how the Yevelion Winter Palace is humongous. It is huge. As Saeris makes her escape to the Quicksilver pool, she notes reading rooms, indoor hot houses, aka greenhouses with exotic plants and flowers, game courts, training rooms, art studios, different workshops, and grand halls. And all of these are plural. Can you guys imagine like how huge? Y'all, she saw all of this on her way down. Her journey must have been like an hour. Like no lie.
Yeah.
This place is huge.
It was like a city in there, pretty much.
Literally, like you never have to leave. Like
Yeah.
everything you ever could want is in there.
We should go there.
Guys, 15 more floors. She finally makes it to where the level where the Quicksilver is. But also, like, I want to know how crazy that no one stopped her on her way. Like, nobody deemed her like literally important. They just didn't do anything. They did not care to keep her, even though she's basically is a prisoner. But like,
But
nobody cares. Like, I think nobody really expects her to be cunning. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think
And probably also there's just like so many people at this palace. Like not everyone knows she's a prisoner, maybe?
I don't know. I mean,
Or
I just
maybe
find
they're being told something different than she's thinking.
I just think that
Hmm.
I just think that Belicon fucked up by like being so self-centered that he underestimated
Yeah.
Saeris. I
Yeah.
think he
He's like,
under,
oh, she's just a
under
human.
yeah, like just a human, like ew, like she's a like nah. And I think the same thing with Kingfisher. I don't think he's so self-centered he did not notice what was going on between right under his ear, like his nose, right between Kingfisher and Saeris the last couple of days. So mating bonds are always really amazing to me, especially between two different species, right? Obviously we know that the fates have intervened, but still very interesting how that bond still exists. Kingfisher later on says he basically knew it was her because of his mother being an oracle. But for Sarah, she knows how she doesn't want him to leave. Remember, Belicon gave him 1 week and then he would be gone, and Saris would have somebody else to help her deal with all of this. But a connection, a bond was already solidifying for them. And she doesn't even know why she doesn't want anybody else to help her. Like she just doesn't want him to go. Moving on, let's contemplate some theories on the pull the Quicksilver has on Ceres. We know it has some sentience, but who are all the voices? And in the end, what do they really want? Why are they in the Quicksilver, or why do they use the Quicksilver? When she finally makes it to the room with the Quicksilver, she notes, quote, statues of ancient fae and other strange creatures 20 feet tall stood around an enormous pool at the very center of the cavern, end quote. What could these strange creatures be? She doesn't know that the statues, like, to be the gods, right? She already has seen the statues of the gods. So why would they be surrounding the Quicksilver? Are these the gods that left on a journey, the pilgrimage, right? But what of the creatures? Could they be the ones that give sentience to the Quicksilver? Thoughts?
Oh, that's a good point. I was going to say, like, maybe these are like the forgotten gods that aren't spoken about, just like how in Sylvarin, like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
gods are forgotten,
Mm-hmm.
right? So maybe
Yeah.
these are
It's
them.
very interesting that they would be surrounding the Quicksilver, right? Like,
Yeah.
why?
I think they
Yeah.
were probably trapped in the Quicksilver by
Ooh.
the gods because it seems like the gods are
Ooh.
trying to prevent something from happening.
What if they
Mhm.
use the Quicksilver to get to wherever they need to go for their pilgrimage?
And maybe they got stuck.
And maybe
Maybe.
they got stuck. And
Hmm.
I was gonna say, like, she didn't seem to even like need the guidance of the Quicksilver, but because she knew she was instinctively going where she felt like she needed to go. But I wonder why the Quicksilver wanted to guide her anyway. And it was like persuading her, like
Hmm.
wanting it to be found by her for maybe its own purpose.
Hmm.
But it,
Hmm.
it just seems like, I don't know, like it was like a nefarious voice.
Yes, I agree with you, Bella. 100%. Saris also says how the pool is solid, looking like a mirror, but unlike a mirror, she says, quote, the pool of shining silver was awake and full of lies, end quote. Like, how is this? Like, what does she know in the Quicksilver that she knows it's not truthful? 100%. Like, she can't
She felt
trust.
it. She
Like,
felt something was
so
wrong.
It's her Fey lineage.
Onyx, at this point, still named Fox, is super agitated. The closer she gets to the pool, he is thrashing, trying to get free. It seems like he does not want to be anywhere near the pool. Could the fox be connected or know something or feel something? A lot of the times, animals have senses and are more sensitive to energies than people are. But when you noted earlier, Carolina, how Onyx grins at Kingfisher, almost like knowingly, almost like he's doing what he wants. It just made me think, like, what if there's like some connection with like his mother or his father or something with like this fox? I don't know. It's like Mad Woman theory, but like it's very interesting that this fox doesn't want to go near the pool. Yet, when Saeris talks to him, it also has some kind of like understanding, like he can understand her.
Yeah.
That is a great point.
I
Mhm.
don't know.
I thought like he was trying to get away because the sound of like what it was making the piercing sound, but you have a really, really good point because there was something really weird about that pool and he was like not liking it.
But it was even on the way down. He kept like thrashing. He kept like moving around in the pouch. Saeris is like, stop, like calm down. Like he was whining. So like
Yeah.
it's like he knew where she was heading.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's fantasy, like you said, Bella. You never know in fantasy.
You never know.
Anything literally goes.
And I'm actually going to touch on something about Onyx later that ties into what you're saying.
Oh,
So
ooh, can't wait to hear it. So back to the Quicksilver pool, Saeris gets into some sort of trance, okay, that it puts her into, to the point that she almost forgets where she wants to go and what she needs to do. Earlier, she said, quote, a sharp, probing presence that prickled at me, trying to worm its way inside, end quote. Almost seemed like the Quicksilver was trying to take control of her. But for what?
girl, yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if they can even do that, like at some point in the story, because it does seem to try and trick her. Because when it says to her at one point, right, quote, come be with us, we won't hurt you, end quote. And later we find out that she would have potentially died if she went into it without a working relic. But then why would it want to kill her if it needs her? Like, unless it wanted to take her somewhere.
Or take
Could be.
over her, like
Yeah.
maybe control her actions, get inside of her so they can control her.
I
Mhm.
I
can
don't
see
know.
that. I can see
The
that.
Quicksilver definitely has an ulterior motive here.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. Yes. I subscribe. I can totally see like the Quicksilver wanting to take over Saeris and like, yeah, and to do some bad stuff.
Mhm. Mhm. But then, guys, again, I told you guys to notice how she describes Fisher's shadows, but she says, but then glittering black sand slams into her, and King Fisher is there. Now, was it the bond that pulled him to her? Was it the Quicksilver inside of him that told him where she went? As much as he's pissed, because he's pissed, he's kind of also almost hurt. Beyond the pure fury, he seems to be like in pain because she was attempting to leave. So now what do you guys think? Do you think it was the bond? Do you think he just knew instinctively, but I feel like he would have stopped her before then? Right? Like, listen, guys, remember she went through a journey to get to this pool. Why did he wait to that very moment?
That's a good point. I think it's the bond. Just because I feel like it snapped into place just recently. So I feel like it's also might be like new to him, even though he kind of knew it was coming from his mom. But I feel like now he's like, oh, what's that feeling? What's that tug I'm getting? Like, what is this? Because even in his POV, you kind of see he's like, oh, like, what is she doing here? Oh, but my mom told me about her. But wait, I don't know. So you kind of see him figuring it out too.
Yeah. I thought it was Onyx at first that went to go get him.
Wait, I kind of thought the same thing. I'm like, because he disappears, he leaves, and then it's like, again,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, is Onyx something more than what we think.
Yeah.
He
Could
is. Is he
be.
more than a fox?
Could be.
Yeah.
Is he more
And
than a fox?
the other thing too I was thinking is that when she tried to steal his ring, right? He finds out that he already knew that she took his ring. So he was like, what is she trying to do? And he probably was like maybe watching her in the
But like,
corners in the dark.
remember the journey out more after she saw all the
True. He could have stopped her at any time. That's true.
anytime.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So the sicko in me is obsessed with how he pins her and then puts a sword to her throat. Like, this is so hot to me. I'm so toxic for it.
Steph, I can't.
But guys, Saeris got it all wrong, thinking the ring was a relic. He states it's just a trinket, but does it have more meaning to him than just a trinket? I just feel like Kingfisher doesn't wear anything just because.
To what you were saying about him pinning her down,
Mm.
when he grabbed her ankle and like pushed her,
Culture?
yeah, I was like,
Me too. I'm
I
telling
was
you.
like, oh god,
This
like
does something to me. This does something.
yes,
Oh my
I
God.
think
where's
this is why we love him so much.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So here, I go back to the fact that beyond the fury, there is pain. When a defeated Saeris clarifies that no matter what, she will continue to try to get back to her brother, Fisher breaks. Like, he folds. Like, 1 second. Quote, look into my eyes. No, wait. Why don't you listen to my heartbeat, Kingfisher, and tell me if I'm lying? End quote. She is beyond done, reminding us of the name of this chapter, duress. And that same duress is what makes Fisher strike an oath with her. He knows he can't stop her, whether it is his bond to her that tells him this, or maybe he sees the same desperation in her that lives in him. So I want to talk about this damn oath. I'm quoting this part because it is important. Quote, I will go. I will try to get one of these humans who are so fucking precious to you. I will try to bring that human back here and you will end this madness. In return, you'll agree to do whatever I ask of you to help me forge new relics and any other instruments I deem fit. End quote. Also, here's a little unhinged jellyfisher. When Saeris asked,
that's great.
The puns are punning.
The puns. Jellyfisher. I love it. I love it.
I have to write this all down.
when Saeris asks for two people, Hayden and Elroy, Fisher is like, who the fuck is Elroy? But the best, most telling part is how he is, quote, looking hysterical. He threw his arms wide, Nimmerel casting off wisps of dark smoke, end quote. Man, was he jealous. He's like, Elroy? Who the fuck? Elroy? Who's this fucking... He's not your brother?
And watch him be your daddy, Kingfisher.
Oh my God, that would be the
shit,
most
that'd be
fucking
crazy.
insane, craziest thing that would ever happen. The oath is clarified again, one more time by Fisher. Quote, I go and I try to get your brother. You help me and assist me in any way I ask you to, and you do as you're told. You agree to this pact? End quote. And our girl, she agrees. She's like, yeah, whatever. Do what you need to do. Get my brother.
She just thinks that it's like any other regular
She doesn't.
promise.
Poor girl. She's a human in a world that she does not belong in. One thing I want to know is when Kingfisher asks Saeris for something of her brother, and she says she has none, obviously. He says, quote, is he your full brother? Do you have the same parents? End quote. Which I found interesting because if he smelled her more on Carry-On, who she had not slept with in months, and she only slept with him once, as opposed to Hayden, it leads me again to believe that maybe Saeris is not his full sister or real sister at all.
I 100% agree with you. And I think Hayden is definitely one of the gods or someone important that we don't know yet. Because again, the gods did say Hayden's sister. They like recognized him by name. So something is off. And I think you're onto something, Steph.
Interesting, right? So, mate bonds. Am I right? Fisher, who is already so fucked by the Quicksilver, goes in it again for the third time without protection. And it is not good. Though we don't exactly know what, though we don't know what exactly until later on in later episodes, love will make you do foolish things, right? But man, he brought the wrong man back. Okay. I just wanted to say how
The right
much.
man.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I mean, yes, Carry On made this book just like he was like the cherry, the sprinkles on top of this whole book.
He definitely is.
How much though? How much of Sarah's smell was on it? Like how much smell was on him? Especially since we know how much Carry On likes to get it on with women. Like we know after Saeris, there was way more women. Like how is it possible that his smell is still on her? To confuse Fisher, like the smell with a brother, like blood. Very weird. Very interesting.
Definitely.
Very odd.
Even though he had a huge time constraint, but it's okay.
I don't know. Chapter 14, the fine print. Quote, I tracked your bloodline. It led me right to him. I asked him who he was. He said he was Hayden Fane. Ergo, I brought you Hayden Fane. End quote. So dead. The part that, again, going back to what I just said, the part that sticks out is, quote, I tracked your bloodline. End quote. What if they're distant cousins, like a famous SJM couple? If you know, you know. I don't want to ruin it for our listeners if they haven't read Throne of Glass, but if you know, you know. But what an interesting choice of words. I tracked
Yes.
your bloodline.
Yes,
Not your
yes.
smell, your bloodline.
And blood should be a stronger scent than other things. I mean,
Mhm.
unless he was kind of like smelling them both. Well, because obviously, there's also like speculation that she is of high Fae lineage, right? Because of the color of her hair, and then her name is Fae, and a powerful alchemist. And I wouldn't think like they're maybe closely related, but they probably have like ancestral ties.
That's why I said distant cousins.
Yeah, very
But
distant.
because they're distant cousins and they hooked up, it's given.
It's given.
Given that other famous SJM couple. All
Yeah.
right?
It's giving our peeps.
It's
Mhm.
given. If you know,
Mhm.
you know. You know,
Mhm.
you know. Now, my question, was it Kingfisher's plan all along to take Saeris with him when he left? I doubt he would have allowed his mate to stay. He practically knew all along that she is his mate because of the drawings his mother drew. So this must have been planned, but moved up because now he brought another human back. With the blood oath in place, Fisher uses it to his advantage. He makes her follow him and stay quiet. All the while, she is fuming. Rightfully so. She was fucking bamboozled, all right? She tells Kingfisher, quote, you said you'd go and get my brother, and in return, I would help create relics for Yvelia, end quote. But he corrects her. Remember when I kept quoting the oath earlier? Right? Right? This is why Kingfisher says, quote, I said verbatim, I go, I try to get your brother. You help me and assist me in any way I ask you to, and you do as you're told. Do you agree with this pact? End quote. To which you responded, yes, gods, I agree. Just get on with it. End quote. Boozled. He bamboozled her. He continues to say, quote, unless you're paying close attention, what you mean to agree to and what you actually agree to are often two very different things in Fae, little Osha, end quote. Ending with, quote, I taught you a valuable lesson that will serve you well for the rest of your very short human life in this realm. Always pay attention to the fine print. The devil's in the detail. Now go. End quote. He played her. He played her.
He played her.
She
So cruel.
He is playing chess while she is playing checkers.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she is like, the fuck, how am I supposed to know this?
She's
Mhm.
playing life and he's playing Monopoly. You know?
Amen.
Yes.
Yes.
Poor chick. This is so bad.
Oh, poor girl. He literally says like two very different things in Faye. Sir, she's a human. Like, sir,
She doesn't know what she doesn't know. Like, I don't know.
serious. Poor girl. She's bamboozled.
I'll be too distracted of how good looking he is, and I'll just be like, yeah, whatever you say. Sure. Whatever. That did
Oh,
happen
man.
actually to me one time.
Again, under immense duress, but now under an oath with almost no free will, notes how surreal her surroundings are. Snow and rain just fall freely while her people suffer for it every day under both sun's heat. Remember, two suns. She basically is literally spiraling with little fight in her because, again, she was bamboozled. She stops arguing with Fisher, who was sure to make sure his soon to be baby girl had a cloak to keep her warm, and Horsey, who was very gentle, very cute, very demure. I think he mostly did it to protect her and her naivety.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, remember Evelyn warned her not to trust anyone. She said they'd be smiling to your face and ready to fuck you up behind your back. So watch your back. Saeris did not watch her back. She didn't take it as seriously. At least it was Fisher, though, and not Belicon, who could have promised her many falsehoods. Again, I
Agreed.
think he's very self-centered because he could have gotten her to do whatever the fuck he wanted her to do. If
Oh,
he
yeah.
said, like, we'll go get your brother, she would have been like, fold.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll do it all.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'll lead your armies.
Whatever you want.
I will lead your armies. I will fuck up everybody. Like, I don't care. Give me my brother.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't even do that.
I know.
You know?
I think he
but I
just,
guess he doesn't.
he didn't think she was as important. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think,
Yeah.
I think he was so self-centered.
Yeah. And I don't think he even sees humans as important in general. So to him, he's just probably like, oh, she just cares about her brother, but whatever. It's human being. Like, yeah. He didn't play it smart. He didn't play smart.
It is brought up again how Kingfisher can't believe Carrion isn't her brother, asking her, quote, "You're sure he's not your brother?" End quote, as if he can sense something else. Remember, y'all, we find out later on that Kingfisher's dad brought Carrion with him to Zilvarin. Could he have a brother, a distant relative of Saeris too? Like maybe somebody who died, maybe another Fae who sired this bloodline, basically, essentially, and then died, and then it's just carry on by himself. I don't know. It's very interesting that even then, like Fisher is like, "Are you sure?" I mean, obviously, if Saeris is like, "Yeah, I'm fucking sure. I know my brother. I know what my brother looks like," but it's just interesting to know how he's just caught on the fact that he can't believe it's not her brother.
Chapter 15, which is called Sarush. So while they were in the forest, they proceeded to banter, with her telling him that she is surprised that he is willing to trust being alone with her again after she stole his ring. And he claims that he knew that she was trying to steal his ring because he took a peek in her bag and saw food and supplies, and he felt it. And he also felt her like tugging the ring off his finger, basically saying, like, you were basically pulling my finger while they're making out. And this whole time I thought it was Onyx who went to alert him. I know I mentioned this before, but I guess, I don't know, maybe he was keeping a close eye on her.
I mean, why did he wait until she almost like literally touched the Quicksilver to like show up?
Yeah. So
He
now I
knew
feel like
from the
that's,
get.
yeah, I agree.
Like
And
what
he
pulled
then,
her to him? What pulled him to her? I mean,
exactly, that bond, mating bond. But he then says, quote, "It will be a cold day in Sanasroth before you can fool me," end quote. So I guess now we know that Sanasroth's climate is hot constantly. And when Saeris asked how long until they would reach their destination, Fisher said that it would take about maybe another half hour, and then proceeded to ask, quote, feeling a little sore, human, end quote. And she replies, quote, sore doesn't even come close, end quote. And then he says, I'll happily kiss all of your aches and pains. Better for you once we strike camp. I've been told that my mouth has healing properties, especially administered between a pair of thighs. Eh?
Lord.
I
He
was
is
like,
so dirty.
I would not be able to handle it, guys.
You know
Somebody else.
how, like, like, there's so many, like, guys that won't say things like this that are not, like, confident enough, but, like, he's, like, gives no fucking fucks,
No
and it's
fucks.
so hot.
He's such a good flirt. Like he's just so brazen and like
I don't know if he's trying to, like, scandalize her or, like, just really let her know he wants her.
yeah, yeah.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Yeah. And when they get to the pub and the stable boy takes their horses, Saeris lets Onyx out of the bag. But the stable boy then says, quote, ooh, that's a good one. Rare. Never seen the black tips on the ears and tails like that anymore, end quote. And even tries to buy Onyx from her, but she refuses, telling him he's not for sale. So I wonder now if there's a special connection between Onyx and Saeris, right? Onyx is rare. Saeris is kind of rare. Coincidence or, you know, I don't know
Maybe
what.
there's more to Onyx than we think, like you said earlier.
Exactly. And I read somewhere that foxes can symbolize many things like cunningness, adaptability, and freedom. But in Japanese folklore, they can be known to be shapeshifters. I don't know. I don't know if it's like how much maybe Callie would want to like interpret like other folklore in the story, but I think that would be really cool. And it would just make some things make sense. Once inside the tavern, Saris noticed that it was full of fae and creatures of different descriptions like goblins, selkies, and satyrs. Even drunk little fairies that start pulling at her hair, and she tries to swat them, but Fisher stops her and warns her that they're mean drunks who will retaliate. And retaliate they did because it was too late because one bit her on the finger after she threatened to smash them. And after Fisher tells her that he is taking her to his home in college, she is worried that it'll be the first place that Belicon looks to try to find her. But he says that his father knew Belicon and, quote, saw what he was planning long before he murdered the royal family and stole the crown for himself. He took precautions and warded his land so that neither Belicon nor any of his supporters could cross into them, end quote. And as long as Fisher lives and carries on his lineage, the ward will remain strong. Kalish is a war zone, and Saris is surprised that he is taking her there if he is trying to keep her safe. So when she asks, quote, how the hell am I supposed to stay alive in the middle of an open conflict, Fisher, end quote, he laughs and says, quote, by sticking close, Osha, really close. Yes,
I will
stay close to
saddle
your
your
shadow
pony.
daddy.
I will be on you all the time, Fisher.
Stay close to your shadow daddy, Osha. He'll protect you. So Ren shows up telling him he's fucked because not only is Everlane pissed, but also he took Saris and Solace, the sword. Fisher was pissed and said, quote, the last time he laid his hands on a sword of note, he used it to murder the true king and the whole fucking Dianthus line. If Rurik Dianthus but he was cut off short by Ren, who tells him that Rurik is gone and Belicon is king, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants. He then says, quote, the god swords are all dead. They're paperweights now. Belicon couldn't do more damage with it than he could do with an ordinary sword. You should have just let him add it to his collection. What harm would it have done? End quote.
Carrion's last name. This is Carrion's family. And this is why Carrion was probably sent to Zilvarin because Belicon was on a killing spree and they were trying to protect their family line.
Wowie, wowie.
See, I like that these chapters, it's like revealing a lot more history.
That's why it's so good to do these like kind of deep dives and breakdowns because when you're reading it, you're not really like, I don't remember that, like I don't really like that name probably went in my like one ear out the other, like my
Same.
brain. So like obviously Carolina, you remembering that like in the end that's Carry On's last like real last name. That's why it's so good. Like, because you notice something that I don't notice, I notice something that you don't notice, and then together we could have like the best deep dive
And then
ever.
we're just your local trio of best friends that are breaking down our favorite books.
Hey.
Exactly. We're just making those connections, that we couldn't make before. So it's really good. But Fisher says that the sword is a relic and not all of the swords are dormant, and then almost proceeds to talk about Nimrel until Ren asks if taking solace had nothing to do with it being his father's blade. Okay, so Solace is Fisher's father's blade. I guess that is where that accusation comes from, like since it was used to close the Quicksilver pool in Silverin, which is the last place that his father was at.
His father's Elroy. That's it. I'm convinced.
I think so too, yeah.
I am convinced.
That would be.
Because how would Fisher know his way around a forge? How? And guess who's around a forge? Elroy.
And guess
who
who
would have
was
taught
making
Fisher?
who was making weapons for the rebels? Elroy.
Elroy.
Oh my god.
Elroy's daddy Fisher.
Oh my god.
I'm done. We're done.
Wait, now we need to go back and is there a
Analyze.
description of Elroy? I need to know
There
the
sure
description.
is.
So he then says Nimrel has been corrupted for years, triggering Fisher to say loudly that his sword is what kept darkness from falling upon Yvelia for the past 400 years. And his palpable anger and outburst attracts the attention of the beings in the tavern, who begin to notice them and start whispering their names in shock. As they try to leave, a fey male drops to his knees to ask for Fisher's blessing, and Fisher tries to deny that he is not the person the fey male thinks he is. But the Fae says, quote, "You saved the rippling banner of the proud Western Anachraik." I'm sorry if I said that wrong. "Against the rising sun and roused our people's hearts so that even those who were ready to pass through the black door turned away from death and found the strength to find their feet and their bows and their swords and their friends. You led the charge on the blood red mountain," end quote. Then a female Fae approaches them and saying, quote, "At Cinder's reach, you quell the horde that threatened to burn everything the people had built. 50,000 people, 50,000 lives, temples, libraries, schools, homes. They all still exist today because of you," end quote. And more of these creatures were speaking out aloud at all the things that Fisher has done to help them and save them. But he walks out telling them that he is not that person anymore. And like Steph said, right, he had so much guilt of what happened at Gilthrai that he denies any of the good doings that he's done in the past. So now going into chapter 16, this is called the Shadow Gate. After going through, Saeris is completely disoriented and nauseous, unable to get up on her own. She sees Fisher walking away and Ren coming to help her. The nerve. He made her go through all of that, and just walks away. I mean, it did say that his head was bowed down as he was walking away, which could mean that he felt guilty for the oath that he made her take and guilty for...
I kind of took this more that he was having a really hard time being back at Kaladesh. Like he was just like having an out of body experience. Like he just, the grief, the pain, the memories.
But just like, well, that was, but I don't get like how that overpowered, I guess, her.
But
well-being.
this is like, I think it's just like he like knows this is a safe place. Like ideally, right? Nobody's gonna really harm her in this place. Like everybody who is there is people that he trusts. I agree with you. I was like, she's literally on the floor throwing up. Where are you? Where'd you go?
Yeah.
But she didn't leave her with anybody. Like Ren is his brother, right?
Yeah.
So
he knew, like, I guess he knew that he was gonna
take care of her. He knew.
Yeah. True. I guess I can forgive him. I guess. So as Runfus helps her to walk, he tells her that Fisher wasn't always this mean.
So the only thing I found was, it didn't really say his description, really. It just says that Elroy had been a giant of a man, a legend amongst even the most dangerous criminals that ran the third, taller than most, broad.
Ding, ding. Dang.
his back muscles straining beneath his sweat-stained shirt.
Okay, Silver Fox.
He had been a force of nature. I feel like every sentence I'm like,
yeah.
a pillar of a rock hewn out of a mountain, immovable, indestructible.
That's Fish's father.
I
That is.
I feel like she
I
didn't give a
subscribe.
full description on purpose.
I
I
subscribe.
am
Subscribe.
Yeah.
I subscribe to your channel. I subscribe to your podcast.
Yeah. Same.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Keep this in. Keep this in.
Keep it in. Keep it in. Yes. Ding, ding, ding.
you.
First of all, can you imagine actually how hot he must be? Like she says like he's like this big, bulky man, older man. Like that's kind of like
Hey,
a
we love an age gap.
hell yeah. Okay,
Not too much.
that's it.
We love an age gap. Meanwhile, Kingfisher's 1,733 years old.
Oh well, yeah.
But the thing is, he looks like
Unless
he's
they're
30.
Unless they're fey.
But he looks like he's like 30, okay? I think Elroy actually looks like he's like maybe in his 50s.
Yeah.
I was thinking 40s, but it's okay.
I don't know.
probably
It's interesting.
I hope we see more of Elroy.
Oh,
we
we definitely will. He's important.
Yeah. So as Renfus helps Saeris to walk, he tells her that Fisher wasn't always this mean. He is just exhausted from shutting out the voices from the Quicksilver inside of him that is hardening his character. He tells her that it seems like his mother's relic that is meant to protect him from the effects of the Quicksilver is not as effective anymore. I mean, hardened him or changed him. But it makes more sense now that what he is fighting constantly is just a fraction of what we saw when he was going berserk without the necklace. So, and now, guys, like, do relics have an expiration date? Or the more it's used against the Quicksilver, the less effective it becomes?
That's a good point. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder.
That is a good point, but also like he has gone through the Quicksilver like more than once. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in
Didn't he
this
go through twice?
once
3 times now.
he went once. That's when the Quicksilver went inside of him.
Yeah.
Then second time when he gave the relic to Saeris to pass through the Quicksilver to go back to Evelia, and then third when he passes through the Quicksilver and back to get Carry On. Well,
Yeah.
Hayden, but gets Carry On. So like,
Yeah,
it's a lot of like interaction with the Quicksilver.
yeah, like he has to go through it when he's using the Quicksilver pool to go through to get into another realm. He has to also use it to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like multiple
Mm-hmm.
times. Yeah. Interesting. So Saeris wakes up to Carry On, trying to wake her up. He tells her that Hayden is safe and doing well now that he's in the 7th ward. Saeris is still worried that Madra will find and kill him, but Carry On tells her that the Guardians are preparing for the Even Light, and everyone is curious to know what gift Madra will bestow upon them this year. This is probably one of those manipulative tactics to win the people over. Take everything away from them so that when it's presented, it feels like a gift, a blessing. So Kingfisher then shows up with no armor, just his black shirt and pants, but with the silver gorget that he always wears. Carry On sees him and instinctively angles himself to protect Saeris. This amuses Fisher to say he wanted to leave his ass behind at the palace, but Saeris didn't let him. Carry On teases her by saying, quote, "And there was me thinking you weren't infatuated with me anymore," end quote. Kingfisher squeezes the hilt of his sword tighter. Ooh, Jellyfisher.
And we're here for it. We love Jellyfisher
We love Jellyfish.
at the Enchanted Circle Pod.
And Fisher and Saeris leave after he promises to release her and Carry On so they may return to Zulverin the moment she bakes enough relics for him. But funny enough, like the way that like she made him promise, you know, it was no blood, like just promise. And he was like, yeah, okay, sure. So he didn't take it seriously, but I don't know. As they're leaving the room, Carrion protests about being left behind and locked away. I find this so hilarious because Fisher tells him that he was never locked in to begin with. And an annoyed Saeris asks him, "You didn't even check the door?"
I can't.
It's like talking rocks
To
for brains.
Yeah.
exactly.
And he's like, "I just assumed." And it's like, man,
It's like, dude,
dude.
it's
Dude.
like you can't even say
Yeah.
anything. You're just like, okay. Like,
He's just like, he was sitting there trying to wake up Saeris to like handle the situation that they were in instead of like handling it himself.
but we love him either
He's
way.
definitely a royal ass, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. It truly means the world to us that you're here. And please message us. Let us know what you think or what you'd like for us to include in our next episodes. We truly appreciate your feedback. And we hope you enjoyed tonight's episode.
Well, that's it, y'all. The banter was bantering and the puns were punning. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and we will see you next time.
I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. And if you have any thoughts you want to share with us, please DM us anytime. We love talking to you all. Guys, hi. We're just your local trio of best friends, enjoying each other's company and talking about what they love the most. Me personally is Aiden Ryerson, but again, Kingfisher, you're second.
Ben and Laura and Garrick and Eric.
The list
Yo,
will just keep growing.
I'm just going to say, Laura can get it. This podcast is so much fun to make when you have Carolina and Bella doing it with you.
And you.
Remember to follow us on at Enchanted Circle Pod on Insta and TikTok. And follow/subscribe to our podcast channel on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or YouTube. Until next week on the Enchanted Circle Pod.